Rocio, we are so excited to have you on the pod today. We were just talking about how we just started running ads ourselves. So this could not be a more timely, fun, relevant conversation. Welcome to the pod, Rocio.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here and hang out with you guys. We've already kind of been chatting behind the scenes and it's been amazing.
We
Oh,
just
I know.
started talking about how she's in Miami. I'm in Delray. Last weekend was Music Week, which I couldn't even imagine being in Miami.
Intense, to be honest. Like the music vibrations traveled all the way from Bayfront Park to my bed. I could feel the vibrations. I feel like I was there. I attended partially. But I'm glad everyone had fun and it's only a weekend, so it's fine. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I would be lying if I said I wasn't down there for one of my friends. One of my friends took a DJ class and she's always wanted to be a DJ, which is so cute. She's a speaker. And this is Alex, by the way, Bridget. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So she works in one of those like or she lives in one of those luxury buildings, and she told the front desk that she wanted to like throw a little DJ party on the rooftop. They got involved and it ended up being like an apartment building party. And it was so funny. It was so much fun. She did amazing. There was like drinks that came upstairs. It was just, yeah, it was a whole thing. So it was really fun.
Building sounds like a blast. I feel like my building would be like, excuse me.
I feel like she's one of those people that are just so charming, where she
Yeah,
was able to just like get people on board with her energy and excitement, and they really ran with it. So, Ultra Music Week, I can say I did it.
We love that. So good. I feel like it's always so fun. We can have these like real conversations on the pod. And that's also what we talked about before we got on here. Like just being fun, shooting the shit, but also like talking business. And we have not had an ads person on here at
Mm-mm.
all yet. We've talked to a lot of marketers, a lot of branding experts, because it really complements PR and visibility so beautifully, but not ads. So give us a little bit of the backstory. Like, how did you guys, because you have a co-founder who is your sister, how did you guys start the company?
well, I have been in the advertising world for about 7 years now. And my sister, she's been in the creative directing, creative world for about 3 or 4. And so we've been in the industry for a while, and we've worked with agencies and we've worked with brands on our own, and we kind of noticed that at the high level, when you're working with big brands, there's so much value that's provided to them versus when you're working with smaller brands, right? So that's just how agencies work. All the time, effort, skills that the agency has to offer is geared towards those bigger brands that are spending a ton, and then the smaller ones kind of just get the scrappy, like, let's just get by, like, they're here, so we don't want to lose them, let's give them a couple tricks that we have up our sleeves and get them by. um, and we were like, that's not fair, like, we and her and we grew up with parents who built businesses, right? So
Mm.
they weren't big businesses, they were small businesses, and so we wanted to provide that value to those small and medium sized businesses that otherwise wouldn't get the value, the strategies, the knowledge that's provided to those bigger brands without losing an arm and a leg paying for it. So that's kind of where it stems from. And additionally, obviously, agencies do tend to be toxic and kind of like not great healthy environments. So it kind of stems from pulling all of those resources and kind of creating our own world where we were comfortable and happy and also made our clients successful.
I was just talking about this. PR is very similar. It's agency life, and sometimes it attracts just kind of sketchy energy. And so when you're in integrity and you really want to help brands and like see the success with them, it becomes like, okay, am I going to stay here and play the game, or do I exit and just say, I'm going to start my own thing? This is not for me. So I love that you did that. It really shows your integrity. So when you guys started your business, what did that look like? Like maybe what was your first client like? And what did you do? Tell us all the things.
Honestly, we were lost, right? Because you learn how to run ads, right? You learn how to creative direct, you learn how to do all those things, but you've never learned how to run a business, how to find clients, how to market yourself. Do I start an Instagram? Do I go on LinkedIn? Like, what do I do? I have no idea. So we kind of just started speaking word of mouth, like going around telling people what we were doing. Honestly, the clients that we got up in like last year were all through word of mouth, like just partnering with social media managers and um, going on podcasts and speaking, and then collaborating with other people in the industry that were like, hey, I have a client that is looking for ads or is looking for UGC or is looking for whatever, and they would refer them. So it was mostly like that, but we did spend quite a bit at the beginning just hiring mentors. Like, what do we do? Like, we have no clue what we're doing. What's the first step to setting up an agency? Like, guide us any way you can. So it was a lot of poking in the dark, and finding your way, to be honest.
So true. Like there's no roadmap for this unless you've done this before. It really is like the Wild West. And it's so beautiful that you got to do this with your sister. So you could do it, together. And I'm so grateful I have Lydia and, we both had separate businesses before linking arms and teaming up, but it can be it can be very overwhelming. And I feel like that's not really talked about for a business owner when they start out.
For sure. It's very daunting. But you go learning, and which means that anyone can do it if they really want to. It took us about, I think, 2.5 years to get to a comfortable place, but if you have patience and you're consistent, you will get there without a problem. Like it's just meant to be. You will succeed if you just keep going.
I love that you said it was like poking around in the dark. That's such a good analogy. I remember when even now, like Bridget and I are always changing what we're doing and trying new things because the online space is just a totally different animal from in-person traditional marketing. So I hear you, which speaking of like how things are changing, I remember my very first job out of college, I started a Facebook ad for them. They wanted to like sell their events or something. And there was like 5 options on Facebook. It was so simple. It was like, okay, what are you looking for? Who's your demographic, age group, city? All right, done. And now that we've started our own ads on Facebook, it's like we ended up hiring somebody to help us because we both were just dumbfounded at the questions. Like there's so much. So what have you seen in terms of like the evolution of setting up ads?
Oh my God. I mean, it's kind of like what you mentioned. And when I started, it was very basic, right? And
Yeah.
it's rapidly evolved into this beast where you have so many levers to pull, and you have no idea sometimes which levers are the correct ones to pull. Like how broad you should be going for targeting versus how narrow. Um, like there's just so many things. Like, should I let AI and the algorithm kind of dictate where my ad is served, or should I select specific placements? But if you never run ads, how would you know what placements to select? So it's a lot of levers, that back then were just not there. There were like 3 or 4, very basic, just standard. But it's been interesting to see how it evolves. Um, I think that's what's confusing to most businesses is like the how it used to be versus how it is now. Brands back then could get away with just boosting posts, and now it's just a completely different animal where you need strategy and you need thought behind it, and you need to create a funnel that touches people in different points of their journey, and all of these factors that determine the success, the long-term success of your advertising and your marketing, which nowadays is a requirement. It's no longer like, oh, I want to or I feel like doing it. No, now if you have a business, you need to be marketing, and at some point you're going to need to advertise depending on where you are in your business.
Mm. That was going to be like one of my next questions. A lot of people who listen to this show, I think they might be between that next stage of, they're getting the visibility, they might be getting onto podcasts, they might be getting featured in the media if they're listening to our show. And they're thinking, okay, like what next? How does this even work? So how do you know when a business is ready for ads? Like what should that business owner be thinking about before they, press publish on Meta?
I'd say that if you're already bringing in revenue, like a substantial revenue, and you feel comfortable organically, then you're ready for the next stage. Um, or if you have, you know, like a new product launch or something, and you're wanting to just generate awareness. But if you're looking for revenue, I'd say that you'd probably need to be in a comfortable spot organically, like with your email list, your organic social media, all of those organic touch points. They should be generating enough revenue where you feel comfortable and you're like, okay, now what's my next step? Where should I go from here? And now you can scale and kind of, I like to say that it's like advertising is like a megaphone. So you need to already be speaking, be already doing what you intend to with your business, and the megaphone is just going to project what already exists. So if you have a solid business and a solid offer that's already generating revenue, the megaphone is just kind of like going to blow that out of proportion, and you're going to find people everywhere. You're going to expand your reach, and you'll be able to scale your business. But if you're not there, if your structure isn't sound, if your offers haven't been proven, you're going to get up there with your megaphone with your ads, and it's going to get in front of people, but nothing's going to happen, and you're just going to lose money. So I think that that would probably be the determining factor, I would say, in terms of if you're ready to run ads or not.
So if we decide that we are ready to run ads, what would you recommend to be like the types of ads that we should be running? So I've seen lots of different ones, even myself getting served things on the internet, but some of them look more commercial, whereas others look more personal. Some are video, some are static. So what would you recommend? And does it change per industry?
Yeah, I love that question. Because my sister is the creative director, so I hear it all day long. But it's also been a major topic. So recently I hopped on a phone call with a Facebook rep, and she informed me, like, listen, creative is the new targeting. Right now they're just asking people to target broadly. So, just your list of locations, gender, and age, and then leave it at that. And then so creative is going to do a lot more of the heavy lifting in terms of bringing the specific people that would be attracted to your offer. So I would say that one, creative is more important now than ever. Two, that the more organic looking ads to each platform are probably the ones that are going to perform the best. And we've tested it over and over again recently because that has been the stat, but we wanted to obviously test it for yourself because each brand is completely different. Your audience is probably going to perform differently than other brands. So it's true. Like, we test studio photo shoot ads, videos, statics, whatnot, versus like UGC or iPhone shots, and those are the ones that tend to perform the best. So I'd say whether it's video, whether it's static, I'd stick to as native looking as possible. No, don't go over the top with editing or Photoshop or anything like that. Just, people want raw and real content right now. So I think I would recommend any brand to start there.
We've definitely seen that, just like on a personal note too. It's like, what ads do I like, or what am I more likely to read, click through, be interested in their product? There's a great ad right now by, I think the company is Lumi, and it's like a all body deodorant company. I don't know if you guys have seen that. And there's like really bright colors, really bright branding. And it's actually the founder of the company, like holding a box, and you can tell it's just like in her room. She doesn't have like crazy makeup on. She looks natural, and you can tell she's just talking to the actual camera. So I feel like as consumers, like, we're becoming more aware of when we're being sold to, and we want the opposite. Like, we want that organic right now instead.
My gosh, Bridget, remember yesterday I sent you Paul.
Yes, Paul.
So Rocio, I think now, because I'm just hyper aware of the ads, I'm actually like reading them and curious. And yesterday I got served this copywriter. It's just like a regular dude at his desk. And I'm like, who is this? Hundreds and hundreds of comments. I read his copy. I freaking loved it. He was a copywriter. Each line was super short. I read the entire thing because it was so easy to read. And it was a great story. And at the end, he was like, if you just talk to people like they're humans, they're likely going to be interested in purchasing. So I just thought it was so interesting. I actually saved his copy. I emailed it to myself. Thanks, Paul.
That's an amazing though. So especially when you start diving into like, okay, I'm gonna run ads. What should I run? And you start diving into not only the ads that you get served, but you go to the Facebook ad library and the TikTok Creative Center and all this stuff, and you start poking around. You get good ideas, but usually, like you mentioned, it's very like raw. It has to be not boring ads. I've also seen like ads where it might not be as native looking, but it's so out of the box, like the transitions are so quick and they're the props are so out of the box that like you don't expect it. So it's not boring, it captures your attention, it's quick, it's snappy. So I think that those two angles are particularly interesting to me, but right now I'd say like UGC and that kind of like laid back, like raw, real um like format is what really is driving home right now.
Get out of my head, Rocio. Okay, because we wanted to talk about UGC next, like these user generated content. I know your sister is like more in that of the two of you, but for our audience, like what does that mean? Who should be doing that? Like what is everything? Just give us everything.
Everyone should do it. So user generated content is amazing. It's been around for a little bit, but now it's when it's like really picking up. So essentially, there's you can either like have real customers who like leave you UGC videos like, hey, I tried this video. I'm not getting paid by the brand, but I love it. And maybe they'll allow you to run that as an ad. However, there are UGC creators who authentically review your brand, and you can use those videos for your advertising. And they bring a real raw and authentic angle to the videos, because the way that it goes is that, for example, when we hire creators to do videos, we write out a whole storyboard. We point out like we want the lighting to be around noon so that you get this vibe. Like there's a lot of specifics in terms of like the outline and what it looks like. However, their take is real. So like if they are genuinely surprised, or the smell captures them and they love it, those are all real angles that come up during the video. So that authenticity does show, and it's a format that really brings the product to life. Like real customers love to hear how other customers feel about the product versus the brand telling them like, listen, our product's amazing, like you should try it. So when someone else is speaking to your brand, it's very powerful. It's the same thing with people, right? Like if you're in a room with people and you're like, hey, Lydia is so amazing. Like you take it at a higher regard than if you're just speaking about yourself. Like, oh, I'm pretty amazing. I crush it all the time with these things. So it's kind of the same sentiment. So I love that that's the way that this has been evolving, and that people are authentically looking for how the product is benefiting them, and that is becoming the front and center for these ads. Like that is the message. Like, is this product good? How does it benefit me? What does it do? Walk me through it. So yeah, it's a lot of fun to record as well. So that just helps the process as well.
I love that. It feels like such a genuine way to sell things and an authentic way to sell things. I think we always joke around about this too. So we are in press, we're in the media, and when clients come to us and they ask us like what like does this really make sense for me? If we think about like how people typically make purchasing decisions just in general, like even me as a consumer, I'm going to go on, I want to look at their reviews. I want to look at their testimonials. I want to look at who has featured them organically. So we do organic press where it's not pay to play, like they are actually invited on to get interviewed. So this is just like another piece of that pie, I feel, where it's authentic, it's genuine, and it really, really gives you a taste of like what a company is about. So whether you're buying a product and you're using it physically, or you're buying a course or a mentor, you like already get the vibe.
Yeah, 100%. I think that is a major takeaway. And it kind of bridges the gap a little quicker, I think, versus, your standard practice ads that we were running years ago, where it's very salesy, very promotional, and less about the consumer, but more about the product.
I'm kind of excited to see it go in this direction because, like Lydia said, and we've just been talking about it, it does feel more authentic. It feels more real. It's like obviously a company thinks they're the shit and like they want everyone to buy their product. Like, of course, but when people talk about it, you guys need to see this Lumi ad. Like they even had like user generated content. It was fantastic. I'll have to like screen share it for you guys and send it to you.
The biggest fan. Literally the biggest fan. It's so funny when Bridget likes something, I feel like she just tells everybody about it. She's been talking about Lumi for like a week and a half now. And before that, she was obsessively talking, I mean, well, she'll always talk about her favorite podcast, My First Million. I don't know if you've heard us talk about it. We absolutely love it. But yeah, I think that really just moving forward with ads, like the huge key here is just authenticity. And we've been talking about this a lot too. So question, have you guys run into, you mentioned AI before. When is AI a good thing to use? Where do you guys use it? Do you use it in like creative or written? Like what does that look like on the ad side?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've seen a couple of people try to test like the like mid journey images and stuff. I don't think that those will resonate well personally. I haven't tested it, but just by the looks of it and what I have tested, I don't think that that aligns super well because just of where we're at in the space. AI, we use it primarily like copywriting help or script writing help. But I think the major takeaway there is use it, but then edit it. Don't leave it as is. There's a huge component in terms of like tone and flow and voice that AI just doesn't capture yet, or at least the how we've seen it so far. There's a need for a human element in there. So we take it when you're like stuck, you know, you're blanking. What should I say? How should this kind of go? Just throw it into ChatGPT, see what it says, and then start using that to brainstorm. But I would never leave it as is and then use it as it spits it out. I don't think that that's probably going to lead too much or resonate with your audience the way you want it to. It has potential, right? It'll get you out of that funk from brainstorming, but definitely don't leave it don't leave it as is.
No, girl, preached. When I see people who have very obviously used ChatGPT to write their content, and then I see like 5,000 rocket ship emojis, and it's like exciting journey. Like I don't know, it's just like how would an actual human talk? And I think when it comes to ads or marketing or any of this, and even pitches, like that's one thing that Lydia has done for her agency forever, and that's what we teach all of our students. Like you need to talk to humans like you're a human, not in this like really puffy, like elaborate way. Just like be human. So thank you for that, Rocio.
There are signs that you use AI. Like, you know, TikTok that says like, if I become a millionaire, there will be signs. If you use ChatGPT or any other AI, there will be signs. There will be signs.
I love that trend. That's so funny. It's like, God, for anybody who doesn't know what the trend is, what you said, it's like, if I become a millionaire or a billionaire, there will be signs. And then you like swipe over the picture and you see like whatever it is. I know Bridget's would be like just a pile of herbs. So am I wrong?
No, you're right. And of course, I don't know the trend because I live under the rocks, like in the soil.
Like, like if you were a millionaire, obviously you'd invest in things that bring you joy. And so like there would be signs. Like for me, I love dogs. So you probably see 50 dogs behind me. Like I just adopt them all.
I love
What
it. Do you
kind
have
of
any
dog?
dogs?
Yeah.
I love dogs. My sister and I actually found a stray yesterday here in downtown in
Oh,
Miami. She was literally just crossing the street, like, and she was about to get hit. So we spent like an hour trying to catch her, and she's in my bathroom now. So we have to take her to the vet.
oh my God. You are an angel. What kind of dog is it?
She looks like a Chihuahua mix, kind of. I'll show you a picture because she's just so cute.
She's gonna end up being your dog. You know that, right?
Oh, look at her.
She's a baby. Yeah. I have two dogs already. I definitely would keep her, but I have already friends that are very interested in
Oh,
adopting her.
good.
So that's my main focus, is like getting her a good home. I know we deviated, but I love dogs.
No, this is the stuff that is real. Thank you, Rocio, for playing along with just like humanness. Like we can talk herbs, we can talk business, we can talk saving animals on the show.
And that's my other major topic, is saving animals. Any day you want to talk about it.
It's so beautiful, and it ties into, your personal brand too. So I love that. One thing that we were so curious, like, when we saw that you wanted to come onto the show, of course, we look at the website, we check out the socials, we want to see what you guys are up to. And we were so impressed with some of the brands that, you guys have worked with. So everyone go over to the socials, check it out. But tell us, like, how did you get those brands? Like, is it Bright Star Farms? Am I saying it wrong? Bright Farms?
Right, farms, yeah.
How did that happen?
Honestly, I think just networking. It's when you start to get clients, it kind of like snowballs. You start trying one thing, and then you try another, and then you try another, and then by the end of it, you're kind of just doing all of them a little bit, and they start picking up momentum. So I mean, my sister and I go to a lot of networking events that are focused on the type of client that we want to work with. Um, we jump on a lot of calls with people who work in the industry. So if we see like a social media manager who works with similar brands that we want to work with, and they're doing something really cool, we reach out and be like, hey, would love to hop on a call so that maybe we could potentially collaborate, and then hop on a call, see what they're doing, see what we're doing, and then if we can help them, great, and if they can refer clients to us, then great. So I think you start creating a web of people who are constantly trying to collaborate with each other and refer each other. Because if I have a client who needs a service that I don't provide, I want to send them to someone that I know can provide the quality of work that they're looking for. So if I jump on a call and I really value what you're doing, and I can see the your work ethic and that you want the best for your clients, I'm going to refer them to you because I want them to have a good experience, and I trust that you will do that. So I think that when you have people who are on the same level of providing value and really caring for their clients, you end up creating like a whole community of people who are just constantly referring each other clients, because they want the best experience for them and they want the best value for them. So plus it's entrepreneurs and solopreneurs, I want to help them the best way I can, and the only way I know how is to, if my client needs something that I genuinely do not offer, I'm not going to try and come up with it on the spot, which some people do. And props to you if you do that successfully, but I know that this is my niche, and I focus on what I know that I can bring high value to my client. And then whatever I can't, I, send them to someone else, and I let them continue to grow their business and yield the results from working with someone who's specialized in that area.
This is exactly how we work. And I know Bridget's over there also thinking like, who do we know that we can send to you? Because we just love this. You really, really speak our language. Like we are very high in integrity, always trying to just support people if we can. And I really appreciate what you said about not coming up with just, yesing them to death and coming up with a service that you aren't maybe an expert in just yet. I really, really appreciate that, because also, if you're going to send somebody over to a colleague that is really great in that, it shows more about you and your expertise than it does about like anything else. Like they're going to come to you for lots of other questions. You're going to be their like answer person. I don't know if I'm like explaining this correctly, but I just really appreciate that. Like it's awesome. So speaking of value and what you provide for your clients, was there any particular brand that you worked on where you were just like really proud of the result, or like something happened where it was just so much fun to be on that campaign?
Yeah, I mean, early on in our career, we worked with a brand called Shades by Shan, which they are a fantastic cosmetics brand. And they are owned by Latinas, and they're just fantastic. And they came to us because they had just started working with JCPenney, and they really needed help getting their products moving because people probably didn't know that they were at JCPenney. So we started working with creators, Spanish creators, and we launched within, I think, a week or less. Like, it was very fast moving. And to be honest, I was a little scared because we hadn't done the usual prep work. Like, usually you sign on a client, you know, you take a week or two to really dive in and like learn everything about the brand, learn about their tone, their voice, all that good stuff. And then you start prospecting, filling the funnel, all that stuff. So we launched just like quick. And to my surprise, the click-through rate and the performance was incredibly strong. And this was also during December, which tends to be the most the most expensive time of the year to run ads. So we were a little nervous, but honestly, performance just blew out of the water. They were super happy. They ended up, I think, coming up within like the top 10 brands sold at JCPenney during that time. So it was, we were super proud, super happy for them, and that we were able to provide that value so quickly, such a quick turnaround time. So it was fun, a little nerve wracking, but it was fun. And it was nice to see that once again, creator content was the one that really like, it carried the campaign on its back, that those creative assets.
That's so awesome. I love that. I just looked up the brand because I didn't know it. And this is like absolutely stunning. Also working with a brand that's sold at JCPenney's and these big retailers, like that's so impressive. So I love this story. I feel like we could talk to you for the next 100 years. Bridget and I are on the side over here, like, she's so cool. Let's like hang out with her.
Let's be friends. Let's hang out. I love
Let's
it.
hang out. Let's be friends. Bridget, fly down.
And we wouldn't
Rocio,
need to use Bumble BFF. We
Yeah.
just already be friends.
We don't need it. We don't need it.
we just use the podcast instead. This is like how I make friends these days. I just like use my business. Is that messed up?
Like 2-in-1. What else would you need?
I just love a good boss babe. It's just, we get it. Number one, we get it. And also, like, isn't it just so fun to be able to work with your friends?
It is. It reminds me of like when you used to like go into the actual office and you would like just like pass notes like you were in high school with the person sitting next to you.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. Bridget and I love to work with each other. It's just so fun. Sometimes we'll like get in those moods where we just want to talk for a while. And we're like, hey, I don't know if we like did anything today, but this was nice.
Honestly, those are needed because it really brings you together. You kind of bond as humans. Like, hey, I just didn't have the energy to do it. Like, what are you doing today? Let's talk about life. And that feeds into your business, right? Because all of those are things that you can kind of call out, not only in your podcast but in your socials, and continue to bring, like what we were saying, like that authenticity to the forefront. So that's awesome.
Exactly. Thank you so much for being here today. Where can everybody find you and connect with you? What's the best way to reach? I feel like everyone's going to like want to hop on board with your business after this conversation. It was so valuable.
Oh, I'm so glad. Well, we're on Instagram, at Pros Digital, as well as you could reach out via email at hello@adprosdigital.com.
Thank you so much. This was amazing.
You guys for having me. I've had a blast. This was the best podcast I've ever done.
So much fun. Thank you everyone for listening to another amazing episode of Visibility Era, the podcast.